All of the communities work so hard, but, the agricultural ones, for example, you'll have these families that their whole life is the farm, and then for one day a year they get to come and play these songs they've written. And no one else gets to hear that except maybe their family. It's not their dream to be a touring musician because they're working hard on their farm. Yeah. But there's so much soul and heart in that music, and those stories are incredible.
They call me the Clap King, but this, importantly, is Radio Woodfordia, and I'm Harley Breen, your host. I get to talk to a person with super passion, Izzy Bartlett. She is, importantly, the producer of the Festival of Small Halls tour. I thought I knew about it, and like a lot of things I didn't, and now I do. After this, it's a really cool thing. She's really cool. Lots of passion for this to happen, and take some exceptional stories and music and art out of this wonderful space and into the regions around this massive, big, far-flung island country of ours. I think you'll enjoy it. You might find out some things you didn't know and inspire you to get out into the regions to access a bit of this and support those communities. Enjoy it. I'm so good at that.
Oh, it's a really nice clap.
I'm getting better and better.
You can tell a true audience member by the loudness of their clap, I believe. Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah. Some people are obnoxious, though.
Yeah.
With the way they clap.
Yeah.
Like, come on, mate. You want to be the last clapper?
You can choose the right type of clap for the right type of show.
Can you? You have different claps. Anyway, Izzy, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, good. Are there different claps? I suppose there are.
I'd say so. It's about the amount of air that you capture in your hands, isn't it?
Yeah. You got to try and...
Yeah.
Well, you don't do it too many now.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Benny won't have any idea where to edit this from. We'll just intermittently put different claps in. Why are you here?
Yeah. Why am I here?
Yeah. How are you here? How did life start for you?
Life started and then I was here, I suppose.
As quickly as that?
No, not as quickly as that. Although not too far off. My first Woodford Folk Festival was in my mother's womb.
Oh.
And then I was but 6 months old. And since there, it's just continued.
So you basically were born then here?
Yeah, pretty much.
You've been here since you were 6 months old?
Yeah.
So how many Woodfords is that?
Okay, I was trying to count. I think it's in the ballpark of 17.
Wow. You're not 17.
I'm not 17, no.
I mean,
we did move to Western...
Shit.
We moved to Western Australia, and it was a few years before we came back again. And then, I've done the overseas things a couple times, and then, the big old C word. But I think I think it's about 17, yeah.
Yeah, well.
17, 18.
That's a good list.
It's a good number.
The majority of that, the early years, I assume, just as a punter being dragged along.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
or dragging my parents along.
Or talking them back into it.
Yeah. No, they were always into it.
Yeah, right. Why was your mum here with you in her belly?
Actually, they were a part of the gamelan, the Indonesian orchestra from Toowoomba.
That's what a great sentence. The Indonesian orchestra from Toowoomba.
Yes. It was a community orchestra, and they played gamelan. There was a beautiful group of people, and I continued while the gamelan stopped playing. I continued to grow up and come to Woodford with many of the members of that gamelan and their kids. But yeah, that I'm pretty sure is the reason they were there that particular year.
Have you heard this fun fact that you were inside your grandmother?
That's weird.
Isn't it?
Well, am I not then technically inside all of my grandparents?
No, because when your mum was in utero, she already had all of the eggs that she will have. So the egg that became you genetically was inside of your grandmother. I'm like, what? That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's not what the podcast's about, though. That's the end of my expertise in that. Right. So you came here as a part of a performing family, which is a pretty cool way to be a part of it. That's a message to my children. And then you were taken to the West. What took you all to the West?
Mum's work. So we moved over there and then back to Queensland in 2019. Dad had also moved back, but, we started coming back when I was, about 11 or 12, and it was really amazing to come back, actually, because then it had been maybe 5 or 6 years since I'd seen a lot of the people that I grew up with, and I was able to reconnect with them. And so now I can say that I'm still really close with so many people that I grew up with when I was a toddler. And if it wasn't for coming back to Woodford, I don't know if those connections would have remained as strong. And so many of those people still come to Woodford these days, and many of them have gone on many different adventures as well, but it is still, we are a collection of Woodford babies, and we are proud to be.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I hope for that for my kids moving down the track, that they have a similar experience. 2019 is a pretty interesting year to leave the West and get in here. Timely. Yeah,
it was. I mean, but also arguably, 2019-20 was probably one of my favourite years and of the festival. And I think it's funny because once you go to so many festivals, they all blend into each other. But that year I was actually an intern, and that was when I started to build my adult community in Brisbane around Woodford. And really, really sparked so many interesting conversations and inspiration and creativity for being in this industry that it became such a pinnacle in my life that year.
What were you interning as?
I was interning with the Festival of Small Halls.
Right. Which is where we have you now. This is what we're leading to talk about. Great bit of segue right there for you. You did my job.
No worries.
So, and now you're the producer of the Festival of Small Halls. And I thought, like a lot of things in my life, that I knew what it was about, and I think I don't. So what is the Festival of Small Halls?
The Festival of Small Halls is Woodfordia Inc.'s regional touring project. So we take an international artist and an Australian artist on the road for a month throughout regional parts of Australia, and we run it all across the country. We are just about to kick off our 47th tour in 12 years.
Wow.
13 years, sorry.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a
in
lot
just
of tours.
12 years to do 47 tours.
It's a bit mad.
That maths doesn't math.
But it's Woodford kind of math, isn't it?
Yeah, now it makes heaps of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and each show is in a small community in a hall, and part of the project is all about working with the community to put on the show. So we don't just jump in, play a show and leave. We work with the community throughout the year to build their event skills. We ask them to find a local artist to open the show, to use it as a fundraising platform, whether that's through selling food, and to really build their network of art in their area and build a regional touring circuit as well. And then also to highlight the incredible halls that we have all around the country. There's so many fantastic halls with so much history and stories, and that have been part of these communities for so long in such an integral way. And a lot of them aren't getting as much use these days. A lot of them still are, but it's also about rebuilding those halls as the community space that they once were and highlighting that.
I'm finding it really hard as you talk to stay in the job of interviewer and not pitch you a show. Because I've done a lot of this in my own art practice as a comedian and toured around, and it's something incredibly, I think, unique about this country that we have so many of these amazing venues and facilities that, you're right, don't get used.
Yeah.
Some of them to the point that they fall apart, and when you have to turn up to do stand-up, you're doing it at a high school theatre. Yeah. Which is fine, but it doesn't have that town hub vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I did one show, and I wish I knew the town right now, but it was an incredibly remote town in Western Australia, and I had 75 people at the show, and there was only 115 people in the town.
Yeah.
And the town had bought the pub because the pub went into receivership, so they bought it and they just owned the pub. And then I was staying at the pub. It was the only place to stay. The only other thing in town was the service station that was also the post office. And when we were ready for the show, we just all walked from the pub to the hall and did the show and then walked back.
Yeah.
And it's great. And it's a really, I find it really exciting to hear that that's an initiative that this space does that people might think is just here, but it's not, evidently.
Yeah, exactly. And those kind of stories are so common as well. You know, the council stepping in.
No, it's not. It's very unique.
Okay, sorry. You're special, Harley. But I mean, even just, you know, this type of touring is not something that many people get to experience. And once you do, you're like, wow, this, you know, and having those, even having the smaller numbers, like you said, it is either half or all of the town.
Yeah.
But you get to meet everyone in that town and you get to hear their incredible stories and build their connections in a way. And also because they are so starved for the arts in so many of these places that, you know, they will support you to the end of the earth and they buy every piece of merchandise you have for sale. Yeah. And it's just amazing the inspiration that it gives a lot of them and the stories that come out of so many people from so many walks of life. It's so human.
I hear what you're saying, Izzy, and it sounds like we should take Radio Woodfordia
on the road.
On the road. It's a great idea. And look, I love it. Like the particularly the part you just said is the stories that you get, and you don't get those stories unless you're with those people. Yeah. That's how you get them. You got to go there and then you get those stories. And you're right. When you go to these communities, they get starved for stuff. And this by no means justifies turning up with substandard shit. But when you do turn up, they're like, oh, we want anything. We want you to succeed so badly. Thank you for being here. And there's, and it's not to say that it's not great fun performing in cities, but there's something you feel wanted in those spaces. Yeah,
for sure. There's a saying that we have in the Festival of Small Halls team, which is a small team, that is
appropriate.
There is nothing too small that cannot be done beautifully.
That's
and
great.
I think it's one of the quotes that I'm honestly going to take with me for my whole life because, you know, from ironing the bunting before it goes on tour to, you know, writing handwritten cards to each host at the end of each tour, it really just grounds this project in so much humility and humanity that I think is also one of the big draw cards for this project and why it works so well.
Why do you do it?
I mean, for so many of these reasons that we've talked about, I fell in love with working with the regions, with arts as well. I've had some incredible experiences both in this job and in previous roles that just pulled me to, you know, these communities are working so hard, all of the communities work so hard, but, you know, the agricultural ones, for example, you'll have these families that their whole life is the farm and then for one day a year they get to come and play these songs they've written. And no one else gets to hear that except maybe their family.
Oh, that's great. And so these are the locals that support the act.
Yeah.
That's great.
Or even, so many other, there's just so many artists and people making music and telling stories that won't get heard otherwise. And when you hear them, you know, it's not their dream to be a touring musician because they're working hard on their farm or in their, you know, local store or anything. But there's so much soul and heart in that music and those stories are incredible. And hearing those stories, I think, also just inspires you to keep going and inspires you to keep telling those stories and telling other people about it and sharing it and engaging the continuation of those people to keep doing it.
And that's a real unifier bringing in a touring artist is great, like we've talked about for all the reasons, but having someone from the community have a win within the community, the pressure, you know, because if you bomb, that's rough. There's one pub. Yeah. But, you know, what a thing of pride for everybody else to go, I know them.
Yeah. But also if you bomb, they're going to support you anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got your back.
Yeah. And if you bomb, everyone forgets.
Yeah.
You know, everyone just forgets.
Yeah.
Are you a live performer? Like, I'm always interested at the people that sit behind the scenes and make it happen because I've always needed them so much.
Yeah.
And I know why it is I do what I do because, believe me, I've tried to find something else and nothing sticks. But the yous of the world, God, I'm good at English, to see this and want to put it on, is it just as simple as seeing it come together is what keeps you going, doing it?
Yeah, I think it's really just the recognition and people are grateful for you for doing it. And I think, and I love to go to it as well. I mean, I grew up coming to Woodford Folk Festival. Like it feels in my bones, you know, to be working in this space. And I don't know if I'd want to work in any other space, but the arts, like I think it's a tough gig, but it's so rewarding in so many ways. And
I'm assuming because you started out here with the Indonesian orchestra from Toowoomba, which is sick. I'm going to get it on a T-shirt. That you're from the regions. That's where you grew up.
I grew up in Toowoomba. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's back to back. It's probably not how these episodes are going to go up, but to Toowoomba people, what's going on in Toowoomba? And is that informs greatly why you're interested in the regions?
I think it came up later, you know, like I think it was a connection that I hadn't really thought about. I mean, I left Toowoomba when I was 7 and it's also such a big hub. It's a very, you know, it's a different kind of region to a lot of the regions that I work with at the moment.
Well, technically it's a city, right?
Yeah.
It is, but I drove through there 2 days ago. It's like, whoa.
It's big and it's bigger than when I was there as well.
Yeah.
But for sure, yeah, I think it's definitely come into it and it's, yes.
But regardless of the fact that it's technically a city, it is regional, you know, and so that's in you to see that, and a lot of stuff doesn't turn up to Toowoomba as well.
Yeah,
you know? I'm sure they get more than some of the regions you go to,
and certainly a lot more now than they used to. Ever. So,
but that has to inform, you know, wanting to build up these sort of areas. What do we need to make your job easier? And more artists. Now, I know what you're going to say.
Money?
Yeah.
What a surprise.
Where does it come from?
We apply for grants and each tour basically needs to be funded and have box office in order to break even.
Yep.
Which is a tough gig. I mean, like the project is great that we've been pretty successful in recent years to be able to continue doing it, but you know, there's so many more places, and even in the years that I've been producing, there's, I mean, I don't want to say it, but you know, the cost of living has meant that some towns can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, but that's why I wanted to ask the question and take this conversation down this route, because I know that people are overwhelmed with the amount of discussions around cost of living, but I have skin in this game, and it is really difficult for me to get out on the road.
Yeah.
I just can't afford it.
It costs a lot of money to tour regionally. There's no doubt about it. And there's also not a lot of ways you can skimp too.
No, there isn't. Fuel is what it is. Accommodation is what it is.
Yeah.
And food is what it is. Like all of those things are unbelievably expensive the further away from a city hub you get.
Yeah, and the further you drive as well, you know, there's some shows on our upcoming tour that we are driving 8 hours just to do the show and then driving 8 hours the next day to go to a different town. And we are so committed because we know that that town deserves it as much as any other town.
Yeah.
But, you know, that means that we then have to do a few shows quite close to each other to then kind of make up the cost in the travel.
Yeah. Well, because this is there's an obligation on government to pay this.
Yeah.
Because this is a social good.
Yeah.
Our industry shouldn't be a profit-based industry.
Yeah.
Some things just cost money. They don't have to be in profit. This is just a thing that you need.
Yeah.
And just because you're from a town that only has 500 people or 1,000 or a couple of thousand doesn't mean you need it any less.
Yeah.
You probably need it even more, and you need more money to get it there.
Yeah, and it's about access. And, we know that there's so many benefits for mental health and resilience. And, there was a show we had in July from a town that was flooded a few months ago. And just the resilience of the people in that town and how much they appreciated having the show and being able to come together for something that was positive and exciting and reinvigorating their town again after a natural disaster makes such a difference to these people and is so hard to quantify in terms of money.
Absolutely.
Because you'll say, yes, there were 30 people here. Yes, we made this amount of money, but the effect of and the experience of these individual people outweighs the amount of money that we got.
Totally, completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they can be, as the word you've already used, incredibly unifying, those moments. I had one amazing, privileged opportunity, I think back in 06 or 07, anyone could search this for when the cyclone hit and they'll know it was Cyclone Larry had come through the north of Queensland, completely flattened Innisfail, like flattened it. And I happened to be on tour with a group of comedians just up the road, kind of up the road in Townsville, Queensland up the road. And they'd found out and they said, would you come and do a show here as a morale booster?
Great.
And we're like, yeah, what am I going to do? Say no? Like that, okay.
Yeah.
It's my day off, but so we go, I was young and we're there with a whole lineup of comedians. And one of them is a British comic, Mark Watson. And he was on stage. And these people sort of, they emerged out of this decimated landscape because it's a banana plantation. Banana trees of grass, basically. So they were all just flat. There was no roofs on any of the houses. And there was like this roofed multi-purpose basketball court at the school. Is where we did it on the back of a truck.
Great.
And Mark Watson was on stage. It must have been 06 because he said, did anyone see the Commonwealth Games? And the audience of a couple hundred people are silent. And he's like, come on, someone must have watched the Commonwealth Games. There's just silence. He's like, come on. You're telling me that nobody watched the Commonwealth Games and this woman just went, we were in a blackout.
Oh.
Which is really excellent. Yeah. Have you looked around, Mark? There is no electrical wires. And that moment from that woman, everyone just, it was like the breathe out that everyone needed. And went, oh, yeah. And maybe it would have taken months, maybe years, for a laugh to happen about what was a really destructive thing in that community.
Yeah.
So you're doing the Lord's work and I'm an atheist.
Thanks.
Back onto you personally for a while because I want to get back into what you do and we'll find a way back in there. But you're here also on this wonderful country because you love it as a punter. Yeah. What's a moment for you that stands out being involved in Woodford, either in an official role or just as a person hanging out? I mean, there's so many, of course. From every year, isn't it? It just keeps going. From every year, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm excited to hear the chai tent is back. Yeah. Very excited. Because I have some fantastic memories. I think maybe I was 15 or 14, just sitting in the chai tent, playing Uno, meeting other 15-year-olds, and they're still my greatest friends. And, that has been incredible. I think it's great to know too that you can come to Woodford and you can just sit in a tent that's all based around chai and play Uno. Oh, it's great. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And then there was a year when I was volunteering, I was a stage manager at the Grand one year and John Butler played, and it was before they'd done the renos, and so there was limited seating on the hill. But I think I ran out from behind the stage at one point and you couldn't see a spot of grass. You couldn't even see the road, leading down to the other tents. It was just so full and it was just such a cool sight to see so many people listening and just enthralled and
that was a really cool moment to kind of realize the size of it all as well. I mean, I think it was different, at the amphi because there was so much space.
Yes.
But then, like we were discussing earlier with, when there is a full room, no matter the size, you can just feel so much more energy and connection between the audience and the person on stage, and it reverberates around in a really different way to when there's a wide open space.
Yeah, totally. As long as the room has the amount of people that can fill it in it, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
But it must be hugely contrasting to have worked within that space. Such a massive show each year that he is here. He's the big headliner to then on your yearly day job be in these small spaces.
Yeah, exactly. But it has the same power. Similarly, if a small venue is packed, it feels completely differently. But also on that, like in these small venues, because these halls hold so much history and they're beautiful wooden structures, when there's only a few people as well, we've done shows where there's been under 10 people and we've set it up. And we've set it up instead of using the stage on the ground so that it's become much more of an interaction between the artists and a traditional acoustic set, because it means that those stories are told much more directly and those audiences get such an incredible experience as well.
Well, and those 10 people have that story. And that's it. That's nowhere else, anywhere in the world, ever again, will have that moment in that spot. And then you get to take that story away. Yeah. And people are like, wow, I would love to be involved in that. I would say to anyone listening, never feel, actually to artists as well, self-conscious or vulnerable about being in a small audience.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it took me years to learn it, but it's not the people who didn't turn up. It's not the people who turned up fault that the people didn't turn up, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so play it for them. And it can be really amazing. I mean, obviously for the budget. It'd be better.
Yeah, as long as you're not the one looking after the budget, which I am. But at the start of every tour, I sit down our touring artists and I say this tour is going to be quite different because exactly as you said, like it's not about the number of people in the room. It's about each person in the room.
And it gives you an opportunity to really engage with them. Like playing massive venues, it's a whole lot of fun, but you don't get an opportunity to engage the individual because you're trying to play to the mass. When, it's those small spaces, again, get back to funding. But that's when it's needed, right? Because
exactly.
those moments don't pay for themselves.
Yeah.
You have to charge everyone $500 a ticket.
Yeah.
That's at least $50 more than I normally charge. I'm an idiot. Now,
we've sidetracked back to Festival of Small Halls again.
Yeah, well, I really love the concept of it. I feel like when maybe midway through my now 25 years, there was lots of opportunity for it. Not 25 years old. I'm older than that. Don't make jokes. And it just seems like there's not as much of that sort of government initiative funding for touring Australia. Maybe there's people that are involved in those sorts of grants that are listening going, no, we're still here.
There is some. It's obviously very competitive. And I think that's the thing. There was a sweet spot when there weren't many people trying to tour regionally. And so we could quite easily get grants. But then, the flip side of there being competition is that now there's,
well, that's good.
Now there's more people touring.
Totally.
And that's, also something that we love and we're building, like we want there to be for artists to go out on the road and tour regionally on their own and go to these places, and then these communities have the capacity to be like, oh, yep, we know what you need. Our hall sounds great according to these guys. So
let's go,
and yeah.
Because we've touched on this already, but I mean, the thing that I find really attractive to this idea is a personal connection that my mother's side of the family all farmers, and my older brother is now a farmer, and he can't leave the farm. Like, it's really difficult for a farmer to get off farm. I remember a story from my grandmother. This is sad and funny. My grandma Pearl cried once every 8 years. That was it. She was a farmer's wife and there was other things to do, but once every 8 years she would cry, and my grandfather Edgar would pack the bags and put it in the boot and drive to the ocean. That would have a once every 8 year holiday because Pearl had enough. Yep. And I don't know the real truth behind that, but the reality is that's probably true. They probably had a holiday once every 8 years. So if people like you don't exist, these regions are just out of their own, grafting away day in, day out.
Yeah.
And they need artists and beatniks and kooks to turn up and go, hey, let me give you a break.
Yeah, and it gives those people access that can't get to the city for a show to be able to see it in their hometown. You know, I have read so many surveys from audience members over the years, and there's a few that stick with me. And there was one that, you know, said this woman who has lived in the town her whole life and can't drive anymore, like was able to walk to the show down, you know, 2 doors down, and hasn't, you know, seen live music in a number of years and hasn't left the town in however long. And, you know, for her to be able to have that access and that opportunity is, you know, is incredible.
It's worth the trip.
Yeah.
Just for her.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Absolutely.
The whole tour.
Unless she was a shit audience member. Nerd alert. What sort of craft do you do?
Oh, I do all sorts of craft.
Yeah,
Harley.
great. Of course you do.
Actually, I'm quite into baking at the moment. I don't know if that counts as craft.
Well, it depends what you do with the baking afterwards. There can be a craft element to it afterwards.
Making the baking look beautiful.
Yeah. Because I think this about craft. I have to admit, a little bit of snobbery towards craft in my earlier days of being involved in the arts. And that art should be a discussion. You should be discussing something in art, whatever it is. I'm not going to set any more rules than that. There's got to be some form of a discussion. Whereas craft often, it doesn't need to be any kind of discussion. It is just what it is. It's, you know, it's a nice leather bangle that my son made me while he was meant to be doing maths in school. My kids go to Steiner. But that craft, the more that I engage in it, is actually about community because there's these beautiful pieces that get made and often then get handed down to younger generations as something that needs to be held as very special because it was grandma's doily or whatever.
Yeah.
And that while there might not be a discussion in there, because it gets handed down and treasured, it becomes its own story and sits with you. And that we should, at every single person, this is my belief, should at any moment that they have the opportunity do craft.
Yeah. Well, craft is practical, as we were saying. Yeah. And I think it's, it really is associated at the moment with older generations. But, you know, I think, well, craft is art. It's just a genre, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
And I think it's also play.
That's right. It's playwright and it's beautification for just the sake of making something beautiful.
And it can fit into any of those categories that you like. Like, it's a skill, it's practical, it can be play, it can be art with a reason, can be political. You can, you know, knit a jumper that has a political statement on it.
Yep.
Or you can just use it for play.
Yeah, because we're losing play and the world is becoming really ugly. And I don't even mean that politically. Politically, it's a pretty ugly place. But it's represented too by some of the public buildings that are put up and the cars that are now modern cars. Everything's ugly.
Cars are so ugly. Boring. Why does nobody talk about this?
Oh, mate, it's like if you look at my vintage car out there, it's such a beautiful piece of craft. And
art.
you look at these buildings now, you're like, oh my God, it's like, there's nothing uplifting. Whereas you look at, you know, there used to be old water treatment buildings built 100 years ago that just for no reason whatsoever, just has a nice bit of floodedy-da. That's a technical term.
Yeah.
On the brickwork.
Yeah.
But it's a very practical industrial building that doesn't need any of that. But they did it. They made the stonemason created this beautiful shape, and they're beautiful buildings to look at. And now they're a tilt slab, plunk up.
Yeah.
Make craft.
Yeah. Just, it's great.
We're going to be millionaires.
I'm so excited to make craft.
We should do it as we're talking. Actually, my father has his master's in creative arts therapy, that's the whole point of it. You know, you sit there and you play with clay or do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Work out your childhood trauma.
Yeah.
We should do that.
And it helps.
That's a new thing we're going to do on the podcast. Just have craft here.
Can I come back?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great having you here this time, Izzy.
Thanks.
Best of luck with everything in the future.
Thanks.
Melbourne should feel very lucky to get you if that's where you end up.
Yeah. We'll see.
All right.
Adventures. Craft.
That was cool. She's cool. This was recorded on Jinnabara country, and it was produced by the wonderful people at Woodfordia Inc. And the music is by the East Pointers. And I am Harley Breen, and this is Radio Woodfordia.